Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of the day start to fade, as if the noise of the outside world is melting away. Somewhere deep inside, there's a part of you that knows life can shift in an instant, not slowly, not someday, but in a single breath. That's the space we are stepping into today. They call it a quantum shift. Some think it's just a poetic way of talking about change. Others know it as a moment where reality bends in your favor. Science speaks of particles responding differently when observed. Mystics speak of energy answering thought. In this space, we bring both voices together. By the end of this video, you'll understand why certain thoughts seem to open doors, while others keep them shut. You'll learn a method that goes beyond simple affirmations or vision boards. This isn't about forcing your will. It's about tuning yourself to a frequency where your desire already exists. When you learn to step into that state, the outer world often follows in ways you could not have planned. Most people try to manifest from a place of longing. They think about what they don't have, hoping to pull it closer. But there's a lesser known truth. Your mind responds more to the feeling of already living the outcome than to the picture of the outcome itself. This is why two people can want the same thing, but only one sees it unfold. The one who steps into the identity of the person who has it, even in silence, begins to notice reality shifting around them. Today you will learn how to do exactly that. You'll hear why energy and emotion are more than vague spiritual ideas. They are the invisible blueprint you're broadcasting every second. We'll explore how letting go of control actually speeds up your manifestation, and we'll look at why doubt can't simply be fought, but must be dissolved in a deeper truth. There's also something I'll share that most guides don't mention. A subtle point about timing and how your shift can sometimes happen in the quiet moments you least expect. Knowing this could mean the difference between endless waiting and a sudden breakthrough. I'm Jessica, and in this session on Dr. Miles Reveals, we're diving deep into the quantum shift, not just as a concept but as a living, breathing practice. Stay with me until the very end, because each step builds on the last, and the final piece will tie everything together in a way that makes this more than just theory. Take a slow breath. Let go of where you think you are right now. You're about to step into a new frequency, and once you do, the world you know will start to look very different. Welcome to Dr. Miles Reveals. If you haven't already, subscribe and join us for more journeys into the hidden patterns that shape reality. Would you like me to now flow straight into the first main outline point, so the script builds without breaking the immersion? Something changes when you stop chasing and start stepping into the life you want. A quantum shift is not about grinding harder or waiting longer. It's about a sudden, almost invisible leap inside yourself. One moment you feel stuck, the next something clicks, and it's as if you're standing in a different world, even if nothing around you has physically changed yet. At its core, a quantum shift is a movement of your state of being. Think of it as walking through a doorway that was always there, but you couldn't see until now. In one state, your desire feels far away. In the other, it feels present, solid, already yours. Your mind doesn't just picture the new reality, it starts to live in it. And once that happens, your choices, your actions, and even the opportunities that show up begin to align with that state. Science uses quantum to describe the smallest possible jumps in energy. Here we use it as a metaphor for the inner leap, the jump from doubt to certainty, from lack to abundance. It's not gradual, it's not a slow build, it's a click. A shift in perspective that changes the way you move through the world. This is why people often say it feels like waking up from a dream. The things you've been wanting are no longer on the other side of effort. They're part of the reality you already stand in. The outer world hasn't caught up yet, but in your inner world the change is complete. From that point on, everything you do carries the vibration of someone who already has what they asked for. That vibration is what begins to pull the matching reality into view. Quantum. It's a word borrowed from science, where it describes the tiniest building blocks of our universe and the strange ways they behave. In physics, particles can exist in more than one state at the same time. They can be here and there, wave and particle, possibility and reality, until they are observed. Then they choose a state. Scientists use this to explain phenomena that feel almost impossible to the human mind. In the quantum world, there isn't just one path forward, there are many, all existing side by side. In our conversation today, we aren't talking about laboratory experiments. We're taking that scientific language and using it as a way to understand how our own inner world works. Think of your mind as an observer in the quantum field. Every thought you focus on, every image you hold with emotion is like a measurement, and in doing so you collapse possibilities into a single lived reality. This isn't about equations or physics degrees. It's about the simple truth that your attention is creative. What you give energy to begins to take shape, while what you ignore fades into the background. When we say energy here, we aren't talking about wires and electricity. We're talking about the frequency of your emotional state. Joy, gratitude, and confidence have a different vibration than fear, frustration, or lack. Just as a radio tunes into a specific station, your state tunes you into certain experiences. So while the language might sound like it comes from science, the practice we're speaking about is deeply personal. It's about aligning your mind and emotions in such a way that the version of reality you want becomes the one you step into and live from. In quantum physics, there's a curious principle known as the observer effect. It says that the very act of watching something can change the way it behaves. A particle moving freely in many possible ways suddenly decides on one path when it's measured or observed. Scientists discovered this through experiments, but the idea reaches far beyond the lab. In the inner world, your mind works in a strikingly similar way. At any given moment, countless possibilities for your life exist. Some are close to what you want, others are far from it. They're all like those unobserved particles, potential waiting to take form. But when you focus, when you give your attention fully to one vision, you collapse those many possibilities into a single experience. Meditation makes this process even more powerful. When you quiet the noise and narrow your awareness to one reality, your energy begins to match it. The more vividly and emotionally you hold that focus, the more solid it becomes in your inner world. Your mind is no longer scanning the field of what could be. It's living inside the state of what is, even before it arrives in physical form. The observer effect in your life is not about forcing change. It's about steady, deliberate attention. Your thoughts and feelings are like a beam of light aimed at one version of reality. The longer you hold it there, the more the other options fade away, until the one you've chosen is the only one that feels real. From there, your actions naturally align, and the world begins to respond in kind. Close your eyes for a moment, and let the outer world soften. Feel the slow, steady rhythm of your heartbeat, grounding you here and now. This is where quantum jumping meditation begins, not with effort, but with presence. You're not trying to reach out for your dream life. You're allowing yourself to step into it. Start by noticing the space around you, the temperature of the air, the rise and fall of your breath. Let your thoughts settle, as if you're clearing a stage for something new to appear. In this quiet, picture the version of you who is already living the life you desire. See the details, not as a distant fantasy, but as the current scene you are standing in. Feel the ground beneath that version of your feet. Hear the sounds in that reality. Sense the emotions in your body as you live it. Maybe it's relief, maybe it's joy, maybe it's deep peace. Let those feelings fill you until they are more real than where you began. In quantum jumping meditation, this shift is the key. You are not asking for the life you want. You are aligning with it. You are stepping over an invisible threshold from one state of being into another. As you stay in that state, your mind begins to accept it as your truth. The difference between the you who started and the you who finishes is subtle but powerful. Your inner world has shifted its frequency, tuning into the reality you've chosen, and the rest of your life begins to move in harmony with it. Every emotion you feel carries a unique vibration. Joy hums at a higher frequency than frustration. Gratitude moves differently through your body than fear. When we speak about energy alignment, we're talking about tuning your emotional state so it resonates with the reality you want to live in. Think of it like a radio. The music you hear depends entirely on the station you tune into. Your emotions work the same way. When you feel lack, you're tuned into experiences that reflect that lack. When you feel abundance, you begin receiving the signal of abundance in your outer life. The shift happens first inside, long before it shows up in the physical world. To align your energy, start with the feeling of already being where you want to be. Don't just see it, feel it. If it's financial freedom, notice the lightness in your chest as the burden lifts. If it's love, feel the warmth of connection wrapping around you. If it's health, sense the strength and ease flowing through your body. These feelings are the language your energy understands. When you dwell in these emotions, even for a few minutes a day, you raise your frequency. This isn't about pretending or faking happiness. It's about consciously choosing the emotions that match your desired reality and letting them become familiar. Over time, your body begins to remember them, and your mind accepts them as normal. This alignment is like sending out a clear signal to the field around you. You're no longer broadcasting from the state of wanting, you're radiating from the state of having, and the more consistent that signal becomes, the more your outer world responds to match it. There was a woman who decided to test a simple practice. For 30 days, she wrote out her dream life in the present tense, as if it were already happening. Every morning before checking her phone or speaking to anyone, she would sit with a notebook and describe her world. She didn't just list goals, she painted scenes. The smell of fresh coffee in her kitchen, the sound of ocean waves outside her home, the feeling of waking up next to someone she loved deeply. She kept her words detailed and alive, as though she were keeping a diary of real events. Each page carried the tone of certainty, not hope. She wasn't writing, "I will have this" or "I want this." She wrote, "I have it now. This is my life." Over time, something subtle began to happen. She noticed her mood lifting in the mornings. The vision she described started to feel normal, even expected. Around the second week, unexpected opportunities began to show up. An old friend called with a business proposal that matched her skills perfectly. A property she had admired for years suddenly went on the market at a price she could afford. She met new people who seemed to share her values and opened doors to experiences she had written about. By the end of the month, she realized she had shifted. Not everything she wrote had physically manifested yet, but her inner state was no longer waiting. She had crossed into the identity of the person living that life, and from there, life seemed to rearrange itself, one aligned step at a time, to meet her where she already stood in her mind. When most people think about manifestation, they focus on the picture of the outcome, the house, the car, the relationship, the career. They see it in their mind like a snapshot, frozen in time. But here's the truth. A picture alone has no power unless it's infused with the emotion of living it. The real shift happens when you embody the feeling of already being there. This means stepping beyond thinking about and into being. If your goal is financial freedom, don't just see the number in your bank account. Feel the peace that comes from knowing every bill is covered without stress. Feel the excitement of saying yes to opportunities without hesitation. Notice how your body relaxes when money is no longer a weight on your mind. That emotion, not the image, is the magnet. The mind responds more strongly to states than to snapshots. You could visualize for hours, but if you're doing it from a place of lack, the energy you send out is still lack. When you shift into the emotional state of already having it, you change the signal entirely. It's as if you're tuning your inner frequency to match the version of you that lives in that reality. One way to do this is through sensory detail. If your desire is to live by the ocean, don't just picture the water. Feel the warm breeze on your face. Hear the soft crash of waves at night. Smell the salt in the air. Let the rhythm of the tide move through your body. This level of immersion makes your mind believe you're already there, and belief is the key to the shift. Another way is through action. Start behaving like the version of yourself who already has what you want. If that version of you walks with confidence, practice walking that way now. If they make different choices with their time, begin making those choices today. Your brain adapts to the identity you live, and your life begins to mirror it. The beauty of embodying the feeling is that it frees you from waiting. You no longer stand in the energy of someday. You stand in the energy of now. And when you live there consistently, you'll find that circumstances start catching up to the reality you've already claimed inside yourself. That is when manifestation stops being an exercise and starts being your way of moving through the world. Control feels safe. It gives the illusion that if you can plan every step, you can guarantee the outcome. But in the space where real manifestation happens, control is often the very thing that keeps the door closed. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring or stop taking action. It means you release the tight grip on how and when your desire will arrive. When you try to control every detail, you send a signal of distrust to the very process you're engaging with. You're saying, "I don't believe this can happen unless I force it." That energy is rooted in lack, in the assumption that the universe, or life itself, needs your constant micromanaging to deliver. In reality, the most aligned experiences often arrive in ways you could never have predicted, through paths you wouldn't have thought to create yourself. Letting go is a mindset shift from making it happen to allowing it to happen. It's trusting that once you've set the intention, felt it as real, and aligned your energy with it, the next steps will present themselves naturally. This doesn't mean you sit still. It means you stay open. You take the inspired actions that feel right in the moment, instead of forcing actions out of fear or impatience. Think about planting a seed. You prepare the soil, place it gently in the earth, and water it. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust the process, knowing that beneath the surface, something is happening even when you can't see it. Manifestation works much the same way. The growth is often invisible until it's suddenly undeniable. This is where surrender becomes powerful. Surrender is not weakness. It's a decision to work with the flow rather than against it. It's the quiet confidence that what you've asked for is already in motion, that the timing is being arranged in ways that protect you, prepare you, and align everything you need. When you let go of control, you also let go of resistance. You stop pushing against the natural unfolding, and in doing so you make space for surprises, synchronicities, and opportunities you couldn't have engineered. The very act of loosening your grip often allows the shift to happen faster because your energy is no longer tangled in tension. Letting go is an act of trust in yourself, in your vision, and in the unseen forces working alongside you. It is the moment you step fully into the state of already having, without needing to prove it, force it, or watch it. In that space, life has a way of meeting you with exactly what you've been waiting for, often sooner, and in a form more perfect than anything you could have planned. Skepticism is natural. When people hear about quantum shifts, manifestation, or aligning energy, their first reaction might be doubt. They may ask for proof, for measurable evidence, for something they can hold in their hands. This questioning isn't wrong. In fact, it can be healthy. It keeps us from blindly accepting ideas without reflection. But there's another side to consider. The role belief plays in shaping our reality, whether we call it science, psychology, or spirituality. Some will say, this is just placebo. They point to studies where patients improved simply because they believed they were receiving real treatment, even when they weren't. But if we look closer, the placebo effect isn't a dismissal. It's proof of the mind's influence over the body. In those studies, nothing physical changed except the belief, and yet the results were measurable. That alone tells us that perception can alter experience in ways we don't fully understand. When it comes to manifestation, the mechanism might not be the same as in medicine, but the principle overlaps. If holding a belief can produce changes in health, why couldn't it also influence the way we move through life? The opportunities we notice, or the choices we make. Belief changes behavior, and behavior changes outcomes. This is something even the most skeptical observer can test for themselves. It's also important to acknowledge that skepticism often comes from past disappointment. Many have tried visualizing or reframing without seeing results, and so they conclude it doesn't work. But often, the missing piece is the emotional alignment, the embodiment of the feeling, and the letting go of control. Without those elements, the practice can become a hollow ritual, disconnected from the state it's meant to create. The truth is, you don't have to believe in quantum language or spiritual concepts to use them. You can approach this purely as a mental and emotional exercise. You can say, if I act as though I already have what I want, will my choices shift? Will my focus sharpen? Will I notice doors opening that I used to overlook? This kind of self-experiment doesn't require blind faith. It only requires curiosity and willingness to try. Even if someone insists it's all placebo, the question remains, does it work for you? If the process leaves you more centered, more hopeful, more ready to take inspired action, then it has value. The label doesn't change the outcome. The skeptic might call it coincidence. You might call it alignment. Either way, if the end result is a life closer to the one you want, the name you give it is far less important than the fact that it happened. Now let's prepare. Find a space where you can be still. Let your body settle into comfort. Let your shoulders drop, your breath slow, and your thoughts soften. With each inhale, feel yourself drawing closer to the version of you that already lives in the reality you've been calling it. With each exhale, release the weight of where you've been. We're about to step over that invisible threshold, from thinking about it to living it. This is your moment to shift, quietly and deeply, into the frequency of what you desire. Stay present, stay open. If this journey has resonated with you, I invite you to like this video so more people can find it and begin their own shift. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Dr. Miles Reviews so you never miss the tools, insights, and guided sessions that can help you create the life you've been dreaming of. Your new reality is waiting. Let's step into it now.